Welcome to this Grandma's Life podcast. I'm your host, theciaellis. Get ready to laugh, learn, and grow with me as we explore growing old in an ever changing world. Today is October 25, 2023, and is episode 49 Self Reflection. It's hard to believe that my next episode is going to be 50. Oh, well. All right, farm happenings. Okay, I don't even remember if I've told you some of this. I had started some chicks in an incubator and had to abandon them to go to Florida earlier this year, or I think it was in August. And so I started a batch of chicks at that time, and I think I had only like 15 come out of that batch, and that if you consider that half of them were going to be little cockerels, then that's going to be only half of what I needed to expand my flock. So I did another batch, and at this time, no, there was 11 in the first one, and there's 15 in the second batch, and so there's like a 28-day difference in the chicks. And I put the first batch of chicks out into the John Suscovich style chicken tractor inside, also inside of the electric fencing area, where I keep all my adult chicks, adult birds, which are chickens and ducks, and uh, that has worked. It worked pretty good, and but now it was time to figure out what to do because earlier this year through a storm, my brooder shed blew down. So then I had these little chicks, 15 of them, that were really making a mess of a small brooder. They were just, but they were beginning to be feathered out. It was kind of stressful because you're going, okay, it's going to rain here in 2 or 3 days. And there was several days of cold weather, but it warmed up pretty nicely. And overnight it didn't get that low. So I didn't turn the heat lamp on them and stuff. And so I monitored them for several days. And then I finally added them to my chicken tractor with the older chicks, and it has actually gone pretty good. I have had no losses. I went out there one time, and I guess there was a little gap underneath the edge of the chicken tractor, and that little chick not only slipped out underneath that edge, but it also slipped out of the electric net fencing, and we're just wandering around out in the property out there. I thought, oh no. But I counted all the chicks and everybody was accounted for, so, and didn't have any losses at all, and I was really grateful for that. Um, as you know, also, I've had my Kinsey and I both have been going to for physical therapy. She quit her physical therapy a couple weeks ago, and just yesterday I think it was yesterday, she got cleared from her doctor. There's still a little bit of inflammation in the tendon in her knee, but basically she's good to go. I, on the other hand, have not been doing so good. The physical therapy was, of course, anybody who's ever been through physical therapy know that it's very uncomfortable, and you just don't know. But and I don't know, it's uncomfortable, but you know it's going to be helping and stuff. And my right foot did pretty much respond to the physical therapy, and my left foot did for a while. Then all of a sudden it started going backward again. And 6 weeks ago, or whenever it was, the orthopedic doctor did want to do an MRI, and I'm going, oh, I don't want to do an MRI, but he thinks there's more damage in there. Well, guess what? And I'm now going to be scheduled for an MRI on my left foot. The only thing is the options of what to do with this are not exactly what I want to do either. So, well, I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to acquiesce and get the MRI, but I think I'm going to find ways of getting this foot healed without a whole bunch of intervention if I can. That's the goal. It's raining again. We went 2 or 3 weeks without rain at all, and so I think we've got 7 days in a row where we're supposed to get a little bit of rain, and that's fine with me. Today's day two, and this is day two that I was going to go out and do some work outside, and I did, but it started. Then all of a sudden, it started raining hard, and it's like, okay, I'm done for a while. I am back to work on my bathroom. Oh my gosh, not enough though. This is making me crazy. I keep trying to set aside time to actually get something done around here, and I can't seem to get it done. And it is making me just a little bit crazy. But I guess I'll get there when I get there. I really want my bathroom back though. It's crazy. What I'm saying is crazy. I think I started it when it was still cold, probably last winter. I don't remember when I started on it. And only thing I've managed to get done is get a lot of stuff torn out. I did get some subflooring back in, but I haven't got a lot to put back in. That's unacceptable, honestly. I don't know. Also, early several months ago, I've got another little granddaughter. I've got three grandchildren. I've got a grandson who is 21. I've got and her younger sister is Kinsey, whom I've had since she was 11. And then my youngest son has a little granddaughter, and she's going to be 2 here in 3 weeks, about 3 weeks. Golly, she's a pretty little girl. But I made her a baby blanket when she was born, and her mother asked for a twin size uh, bedspread, and I said, "Sure, I can do that." And so all last year during football season, I was doing the working on crocheting this baby blanket for her. And when I was almost done, and that's on one of my earlier podcasts, when I was almost done with it, she I I'm serious. I was just inches away from even having the edge done, and I noticed that there were holes in it, and a mouse had gotten into my crocheting and had chewed all holes in it. So I just started all over. So I did get it finished the other day. Got it washed to make sure it wasn't going to fall apart, and I got it delivered. So I feel much better about that. I'm really grateful for that. I just got back from the Self Reliance Festival last week. I really like going to the Self Reliance Festival. It's so refreshing to be around doers and people who want, not only are they doers themselves, but they're encouraging you to do. There's just a lot of encouragement, a lot of activity, a lot going on, and I am an action person, and that's why it really does bother me when I can't get stuff done. Uh, because I really want to have stuff done and I'm not getting it done by myself. So every once in a while, I just need a little dose of being surrounded by people who can get things done, and it gives me encouragement. I have to admit. So I really like going to Self Reliance Festival. I was tired when I got home. It took me several days to recover. There are times when you go, not as young as you used to be. But you know what? I ain't dead yet, so I'm gonna get back at it. I will say that my dad started having some pretty significant health problems the week before, a few days before I left to go to the Self Reliance Festival. I live in Oklahoma. Self Reliance Festival is in Tennessee, and my mom and dad and my brother live in Florida, in Jacksonville, Florida area. And my mom called me and told me that dad was having seizures. This is bad, and we're on the way to the hospital. And so when I talked to my brother, who is a very matter of fact type person, so whatever he says, you can pretty much take it to he's not going to exaggerate. He has a tendency to downplay things, so I have to try to learn to read between the lines on him on that kind of stuff. But he did. He called me. He told me that because of dad's age and health history and stuff like that, he was only going to be given a 50% chance to survive a procedure he needed to stop these. He had a two blood vessels that were leaking into his into a part of his brain and causing the seizures, and they needed to clear up. They were going to go through an artery in his arm and go up through there and block these vessels. And he had an only 50% chance of surviving. So when I packed to go to the Self Reliance Festival, I also packed for an extra few days and a funeral dress, thinking if things are really bad, I'm going to have to drive on to Florida and help get ready for a funeral. Well, on my way, I was on my way to Tennessee, and my brother sent me and my sister a text that says the procedure went well and dad's on his way home. I'm going, what? I mean, I'm glad, don't get me wrong, but when you are trying to get your brain wrapped around the fact that your 81-year-old dad it has only a 50% chance of surviving whatever procedure he was going to be having, you do you go, your brain goes down that path, and when all of a sudden he's doing great, he's going home, you go, what? Okay. So I'm happy. I was just confused, but I'm glad he's better. He is better. He is still declining. I'm not gonna lie, I won't be surprised at any time whenever we find out that he's going to be passing. But he is truly the most stubborn man that I know. And in fact, every time he has beaten death, which has been many times, he says, well, I won that time. I'm too stubborn to die, just too stubborn to die. I'm thinking, yeah, I guess so. You're too stubborn to die. But one of these days, we all die, guys. you know. All right, back on the farm. I tried to do updates on my social media each day. Like, I don't know if you follow me on Facebook as Thecia Ellis. Dayhoff was my maiden name. And I put my three things that I got from Nicole Sauce, and I actually post what my three things are, and I try to post what we're going to have for dinner and stuff. And so I was looking on that, and I had seen a post where a friend of mine was selling a rabbit in a cage for a really good deal. And I thought, you know what? I've been trying to get into meat rabbits for a while. Now's the time. And I loaded up and drove the pickup over to, and it was good to visit with her. I hadn't seen her in a long time. Her mother and I used to be really good friends. And I knew her when she was a teenager. Now she's grown and got three little boys. And I don't know, there ain't very many years between these boys, but you know how boys are. I enjoyed it. I really had a good time. But while I'm sitting there trying to learn how to take care of a rabbit, the boys are telling me about when the car broke down, and oh, here's the rocks. I got home and I'm thinking, what are these rocks in my pocket? And I thought, oh yeah, one of the boys gave me some rocks. And but it was they are they were very cute. I really enjoyed being around them, and they were high energy, and I just really had a good time. But now I have a gray rabbit. And, and I'm going to tell you, like I tell everybody on my YouTube channel, I have no name because I asked this girl. I said, "So would you name him?" And it's a buck, and it's a beautiful gray. I don't even remember what the breed is of this rabbit, but it's a beautiful gray buck. And she goes, I never named it. And I'm going, okay. So I'm trying to figure out names for my new rabbit because I am planning on keeping him. And how lame I am is the only best I could come up with was gray or buck. So if you got ideas for naming a rabbit, put them in the comments and let me know because apparently I need the help. All right. Speaking of my three things, I was supposed to this morning redo my rabbit setup. I set up a system. I had a plan to take the top off of a table and use it for a bracket or setting to put this cage on, and it wasn't working out the way the two tables that I looked into were designed. It wasn't going to work out. So right now it's just sitting on the cage. And what I've been wanting to do for the last couple of days, but I keep getting rained out, is I remembered I have cinder blocks. I got cinder blocks I can stack up and set it up where the cage can sit on that. And the reason I didn't, even though there's a table's a good deal, it's a solid thing, and I want the rabbit poop to fall through so I can harvest it underneath and use it for fertilizer. So whenever I can finally get back out there again, I'm going to try to get a pretty good cinder block set up. And I even think might have an idea on how to capture the poop that I think it'll work. But that's on down the road. But so that was number one of my three things. And obviously I'm not going to get that done. Number two is eggs to customers. Today is a day I deliver several dozen eggs of customers to customers, and I haven't done that yet, but the eggs are prepared. And number three is record and post this podcast. And so I'm obviously getting recorded. We'll just have to see if it gets posted today. What I'm reading, we're still on The Happiness Advantage by Sean Acor, that was written in 2010. And we're on principle number three, the Tetris effect, training your brain to capitalize on possibility. So page 97, 98 is the only thing I had marked for this time. Yeah, you can see. All right. When our brains constantly scan for and focus on the positive, we profit from three of the most important tools available to us: happiness, gratitude, and optimism. What I am learning is, even though I'm trying to set this up where you can't see it, my lighting is not right. And then when I try to get in here, I can't read it. Okay. The role happiness plays should be obvious. The more you pick up on the positive around you, the better you'll feel. And we've already seen the advantages to performance that brings. The second mechanism at work here is gratitude, because there's more opportunities for our positivity we see, the more grateful we become. Countless other studies have shown that consistently grateful people are more energetic, emotionally intelligent, forgiving, and less likely to be depressed, anxious, or lonely. The third driver of the positive Tetris effect is optimism. This instinctively makes sense. The more your brain picks up on the positive, the more you'll expect this trend to continue. And so the more optimistic you'll be. And optimism, it turns out, is a tremendously powerful predictor of work performance. I'm going to try an experiment here. Oh, yeah. As we saw briefly in the last chapter, expecting positive outcomes actually makes them more likely to arise. Few people have proven this more cleverly than researcher Richard Wiseman, who set out to discover why some of us seem to be consistently lucky while others can't buy a break. As you might have guessed, it turned out that there's no such thing as in a scientific sense, as luck. The only difference, and this is a big one, is whether or not people think that they are lucky. In essence, whether they expect good or bad things to happen to them. And that's all I got for that one, but I did learn from this experiment that this may help. I'm getting a flashlight on my subject so I could. It's amazing how much better you can read when you can see what you're reading. So it was the Tetris effect. Actually, what I had gotten from it, even though that what I had read was actually pretty interesting. One of the things that stuck with me is they were saying that they had people who were playing Tetris and they played it for a certain number of hours a day, and they actually, when they were going through their day afterwards, particularly if they lived in a city, their brains actually would try to rearrange buildings and see if they could actually come together into uh to the Tetris type thing for like that video game. But this Tetris effect that also comes over into, if you feel happy, if you think of yourself as happy, if you think yourself as lucky, you are more likely to be. What I'm listening to, I'm okay. There's two different things. I'm almost done with my second listening to of Atlas Shrugged, and I'm really glad I did that. And I actually bought the hardcover, but it's going to be several months before I read the paper. And I said hardcover, I meant paperback, the actual with paper in it. But now I'm also listening to Dune by Frank Herbert, so that's pretty cool. I've listened to a lot of podcasts, and you'll find that's what I'm going to talk about here on on this particular podcast. But I also am trying to train myself to listen to books too, good for me novels, whatever, you know. And so, I mean, like Atlas Shrugged was a book I had heard several people say that people needed to hear or read or whatever, and I decided to do it, and I really am glad I did it now. And I guess I heard somewhere else that somebody mentioned Dune, and I read the Dune series as a teenager, but I'm 61. I don't remember anything about it. So it's kind of cool to listen to it again. All right, the quote of the day. And actually, I have two quotes of the day, so I did not do any research on the authors of it. And so the first quote of the day is: self examination is the key to insight, which is the key to wisdom. And that's by M. Scott Peck. Let me say that one again. Self examination is the key to insight, which is the key to wisdom. And the next one is from Socrates: an unexamined life is not worth living. An unexamined life is not worth living. And these are quotes I stole from It's a Good Life podcast with Brian Buffini. And I thought, you know what? This is all kind of tying together on some of the things that I've been mulling over in my head for a while, that I do like introspection a lot of times. And so when he did those quotes, I wrote them down, and I thought, okay, this is what I need to, this is something that I need to start working on. The scripture of the day is: may these words of my mouth and this meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight, Lord, my rock and my redeemer. And this is Psalm 119, Psalm 19:14. So this is also another one about meditation, introspection, and all that other stuff. So this leads into my main subject. I am a podcast fanatic. I listen to Timcast, The Corbett Report, and Morning Wire for the latest news. I listen to the Bible Project and Bleeding Daylight for scriptural and spiritual information. It's a Good Life, Artificial Intelligence, All It Takes is a Goal, and Podcast Growth University helped me learn about business building and entrepreneurship and stuff like that. Jack Spirko of the Survival Podcast is considered the godfather of the type of podcast I started listening to several years ago, and I have since added many podcasts to my ever growing list from these those who have started their own podcast because of him. Okay, so this includes Living Free in Tennessee with Nicole Sauce, Finding the Next Level with Ken Esch, the Lots Project with Brian Alexovich, and Workshop Radio with Toolman Tim Cook. And so these are all people that I have found through the Jack Spirko and well, and Nicole Sauce. Okay, so Nicole Sauce, I found her through Jack Spirko. Some of these I have found through Jack Spirko, but others I found through Nicole Sauce, who came from Jack Spirko too. So I guess that's why we call him the Godfather of podcasting, and a whole bunch of other stuff too. I love to learn, and that I think that shows in these in my podcast when I do the research on who the authors are of quotes and the scriptures that I'm looking up and what it was the basis of them and just everything. I just love to learn, and listening to podcasts while working around the farm or in the kitchen or whatever is an excellent way to learn and still be accomplishing something instead of just sitting down and reading. And of course, I do that too. You got to know I've got stacks of books over there that I read every night. And so, but I like to be learning while I'm doing stuff too. And Amy Dingman is another podcaster I listen to, and her podcast is A Farmish Kind of Life. Um, and she is also who I think I learned from her through Nicole Sauce, not necessarily through Amy Dingman, but she's also on she deals with Jack Spirko too. But Amy Dingman is different, and I love listening to her. Okay, and she writes too. She's an author. She has several nonfiction books that she's written. In fact, she's got another one that just came out, and so she does nonfiction. But I really love her fiction work. She's written two of them, and or she that I know of, and I've read them, and that's under the pen name Shay Ray Stevens. And her character development is so deep, and I just really am in awe about how she can get into the head of her characters and portray them and put them on paper. Um, the same ability to develop these characters spills over into her podcast too. Okay, not as a character, but the ability to go deep into thought processes behind an event or a current decision she's facing. And she's been going through some stuff. She raised some kids, she raised two boys, and she's openly shared this roller coaster ride. Uh, I'm trying to find herself, after she had homeschooled her boys, she's been a homeschooling mom for several years. Well, now they're raised, and she was trying to figure out what to do about it. She went and ended up getting a job, and then she decided she wanted to do half time, I think, and then she went back to full time. And I think she has just recently decided that she's not going to work outside the home at all anymore. And part of me feels bad for her because I think she feels like she needs to apologize for saying, "Okay, this is the route I'm taking," and then she comes back a few weeks later going, no, that's not the route I'm taking." And anybody who has been through life at all knows that's just how life goes. That's just what happens. Um, the difference, though, too, is she thinks about it and she gets deep in these thoughts, and I don't. She thinks about what she's learning in each situation, and I grit my teeth and I'm determined to grind my way through it, often learning nothing at all and having to learn the same lessons over and over again, wondering why I can't move forward in life. And so I really appreciate having her in my ear, just teaching me how to do that. And I'm glad she's back to podcasting. I really am. I need her in my ear occasionally. I'm learning introspection by listening to her many words of wisdom. I'm learning to stop and think about what needs to be done and not just plowing determinedly through life. I'm learning. And I want to thank you, Amy. I appreciate you. And I guess somewhere down the road, I will hope that I can get this information to you, let you know how much I appreciate you. All right. That is my main subject. I am learning. I want to learn and I want to get ahead, move forward. That's been my goal all along, was moving forward. And instead of just continuing to plow through and grit my teeth and stuff, pound my head on the wall and continue. I mean, there could have been a door nearby and I didn't see it because I was too busy trying to get through. So uh, that that is my main subject of the day. My story of the day uh focuses around this rabbit that I bought. We've got a lot of rabbits that run around here on the property, and every once it's been several years since Tom has done it. During the wintertime, he'll go out and shoot some rabbits, and we'll have them for dinner sometime. But I want this rabbit. I want to get more some females, obviously, and get these rabbits so that I can not only put meat in the freezer, but I want to start trying to transfer my dogs into a more rabbit diet. But they still try to chase the wild rabbits around here. Okay, let me rephrase that. Candy chases the rabbits. Beethoven just kind of toodles along behind, goes, okay, when you catch it, I'll help. But so I was a little concerned with bringing this rabbit here because it's in a cage, it's open. They can see each other, and I've actually got it a height. The cage is right about hip height or something like that right now. So obviously, my big dogs can get right up to it. And so I was concerned that the cage were going to be knocked over and I was going to have dogs that's trying to get to this rabbit. But actually, it's been just really almost sweet. My dogs will stick their nose up to the cage, and the rabbit sticks his nose up to the cage, and they touch noses several times a day. And they seem to be at peace with each other. And I'm glad for that. Yeah, that's my story of the day. And my question of the day is, do you grit your teeth and keep banging your head on the brick wall when there's a door nearby that you could have gone through? Or do you step back and assess your situation on occasion and decide what's the best route to take? I hope that you are you're doing the assessing thing and not being the hard-headed bonehead that I am. All right, my income producing activity of the today is okay. Yes, I did go to the Self Reliance Festival, but they still have digital passes. Everything, all the speakers um, that um, that they had there, and there were some great ones. In fact, if you look at my most recent video, I did mainly the vendors that were there because there was a lot of vendors, but I also showed Joel Salatin where he was speaking briefly, and Brian Alexovich, and I can't remember. Oh, and I was showing a little bit of a round table where there was Toolman Tim and Jack Spirko and three or four others that were doing a roundtable discussion and stuff. But you can go follow the link below for the Self Reliance Festival, and you can buy the digital tickets, and you can get these talks that all of them did, and I promise you, every one of them were excellent. Every year they continue to up their game on the people that they have speaking there, and I'm just really proud of them. So check that out. See if you can get you a digital pass for the Self Reliance Festival that just happened, and that will be really cool. I would appreciate if you would start telling other people about this podcast. Remind them that this is an old lady trying to learn how to do stuff. Give me a 5-star review and pass the word so that other people can learn that I'm actually putting something else out here. I'd like to be discovered. I would like on my YouTube channel, Grandma's Homestead. Um, go there to YouTube and like and subscribe to the videos that I have there too. I have broken 500 subscribers already. I would really like to break 1,000 and continue to grow from there. But the work I'm doing, I really like to start seeing some monetary value to the work I'm doing, and I need your help with that, and I certainly appreciate it. So I can be found at my website is grandmashomestead.farm. Um, and I do have the Grandma's Homestead YouTube channel, a Farm Animal Life YouTube channel. Instagram is theciaellis, TikTok, theciaellis. I'm on Facebook as Thecia V. Dayhoff Ellis, and that's where I've been posting uh, things like with my 3 things and stuff. And on Twitter, see, I think it's Twitter and X and Instagram. I post each day either a scripture or a quote. So check me out on all of them. That's all I got today. And don't bang your head on the wall anymore like I have a tendency to do. God bless, guys. I'll see you next time.